The wind sliced across Camp Ridgeway like a blade, carrying the scent of dirt, sweat, and distant ocean air. Recruits moved in tight formations across the training field, boots pounding the ground in uneasy rhythm. It was only the second week of the intensive combat preparedness program. A brutal program known for breaking spirits and forging warriors. And among the new faces that had joined the roster was Ava Mercer. Quiet, controlled, and unreadable. She looked like the kind of person who never raised her voice, never picked a fight, and never got in trouble. Which is why the three people who would soon regret everything, Travis Boone, Cole Riker, and Jenna Hale, thought she was an easy target. Ava wasn't here to impress anyone. She kept her distance, did her drills, followed orders with a nod, and slipped into the background like a shadow. Nobody knew her past. Nobody knew she had spent 6 years under the mentorship of one of the most feared Navy SEAL instructors in the country. Nobody knew she was here under a temporary exchange program meant to test new integrated combat methods. And absolutely nobody knew that the man supervising today's drill, Chief Petty Officer Logan Briggs, a Navy SEAL whose reputation alone made grown soldiers straighten their posture, had personally trained her since she was 19. But that morning, Travis, Cole, and Jenna weren't thinking about any of that. They were thinking about one thing: establishing dominance. In every batch, there were always a few who thought the program was a playground for their ego. And this batch had them in abundance. The drill was simple: close quarters combat in a controlled circle. Padded suits, training knives, no lethal strikes. The objective was to disable your opponent and maintain control. Ava waited quietly on the side as recruits went in pairs. Some gracefully, some desperately, some embarrassingly. When her name was finally called, she stepped forward without hesitation. Her eyes met Logan Briggs for a fraction of a second. No emotion, no signal, just acknowledgement. But before she could enter the circle, Travis stepped in front of her. "Hold up, Mercer," he smirked, towering over her. "You're with us." Cole joined him, cracking his knuckles with unnecessary theatrics. Jenna stepped behind Ava, her arms crossed, face sharp with arrogance. Ava didn't flinch. "The drill is one-on-one." Travis laughed loud enough to get nearby attention. "Not today. Think of it as accelerated training." Logan Briggs watched from a distance, eyes narrowing just slightly. He knew exactly what was about to happen. But SEAL instructors had a rule: observe first, intervene only when necessary. And he wanted to see exactly how far this would go. The other recruits whispered under their breath. Everyone could see the imbalance. Ava was smaller, lighter, and alone. The trio surrounding her stood like wolves circling prey. Jenna pushed Ava's shoulder lightly. Not enough to start a fight, just enough to provoke. "You're too quiet," she sneered. "People like you don't survive real combat." Ava looked at each of them, expression calm. "Step aside," Travis grinned. "Make us." The instructor supervising the match hesitated. "Boone, Riker, Hale." "This is not a." Logan Briggs lifted a hand, silencing him. "Let it run." His voice was low, steady, unshakable. The entire field went silent at the sound. The drill began at a whistle cut the air and the three of them rushed her at once. Jenna lunged first, swinging the training blade toward Ava's ribs. Ava pivoted sharply, her movement effortless and fluid, but Travis grabbed her arm before she could fully dodge. Cole went for her leg, sweeping from the side. In seconds, Ava was forced to the ground, three bodies crushing her weight. Someone gasped. This wasn't a drill anymore. It was an assault. Jenna slammed her knee into Ava's abdomen. Cole twisted her wrist. Travis drove an elbow into her shoulder. Ava clenched her jaw, absorbing the pain with an eerie level of restraint. She didn't cry out, didn't beg, didn't panic. She simply endured, waiting, timing, calculating. The crowd murmured nervously. This was spiraling out of control fast. The supervising instructor shouted, "Enough. Back off." But the trio ignored him. That's when they made their biggest mistake. Jenna grabbed Ava's collar. "Say it. Say you quit." Ava lifted her head, eyes cold as steel. "No." With that single word, something shifted in the air. The three recruits continued their assault, but Ava's stillness was not defeat. That it was controlled, that it was restraint, that it was the thin line before eruption that up on the observation stand. Logan Briggs' expression didn't change, but his jaw tightened. He had seen this before, the quiet before the storm. And then it happened. Travis reared back with the training knife raised high, aiming for a mock finishing strike that was strictly forbidden. The moment the knife descended, Ava moved. Not like a recruit, not like someone overwhelmed, but like a blade cutting through the space between seconds. Her left hand shot up, catching Travis' wrist midair. She twisted sharply. Snap, forcing his grip open. The training knife clattered to the ground. In the same breath, she rolled back, kicking Jenna off with a controlled but powerful strike that sent her staggering. Cole tried to grab her again, but Ava countered with a perfect elbow strike to his sternum. A strike taught only an advanced SEAL on arm training. Cole collapsed, gasping for air. The entire fight flipped in less than 4 seconds. Travis roared and charged again, but Ava stepped aside, hooked his arm, and leveraged his momentum to slam him onto the mat with brutal efficiency. Jenna scrambled back to her feet, only to find Ava already behind her, pinning her arm and pressing her face gently but firmly into the ground. Logan Briggs finally stepped forward. Stop. The field fell silent. You could hear dust settling. Ava froze immediately, not because she needed to, but because she respected the command. Logan approached, his boots echoing ominously across the mat. Every recruit held their breath. He stopped in front of Travis, Cole, and Jenna. 3 people who moments ago thought they were predators. Now they look like children caught stealing something they couldn't hide. Briggs knelt beside Travis first. How's your wrist? Travis winced, embarrassed beyond words. I didn't know. Briggs cut him off. You didn't know because you didn't bother to think. You saw someone quiet and assumed weak. You saw someone disciplined and assumed afraid. He turned slowly, looking at each of them. But your biggest mistake wasn't underestimating her. He pointed at Ava. It was laying hands on my trainee. The recruits froze. The hush fell that Ava's eyes shifted downward. The entire field erupted in whispers. His trainee Logan continued, voice low but lethal. Ava Mercer completed SEAL-level close quarters training by 22. I trained her myself. She is here on assignment evaluating this program's viability. And the 3 of you assaulted her in a control drill. Jenna opened her mouth, desperate. Sir, he didn't let her speak. You put your ego before integrity. You put someone's safety at risk. You violated protocol, chain of command, and the ethical code of this institution. He straightened his posture. Effective immediately. Your participation in this program is terminated. Your files will reflect conduct unbecoming of a service member. You're done. The 3 of them stared at him in disbelief. No, sir. Please, we didn't know. Briggs' voice hardened. You didn't ask. And that's the problem. They were escorted away, defeated, humiliated, their careers over before they started. Ava stood silently as the field slowly returned to motion, whispers rippling everywhere. Some recruits looked shocked, others looked inspired, a few looked afraid. Logan stepped beside her. You held back. Ava nodded. They're not enemies. You did good, he said quietly. Better than I expected. She looked up at him, finally allowing a small breath of relief to escape. It could have been worse. Logan smirked. For them, absolutely. She didn't smile, but something softened in her expression. Thank you for stepping in when you did. He shook his head. You didn't need me. You handled them exactly right. He took a few steps, then paused. And Mercer, yes, sir, you're going to make the rest of this program very interesting. The story of Ava Mercer spread through the base like wildfire. Not because she fought back, but because she fought with control, because she won without humiliation, because she embodied the discipline most recruits only dreamed about. And at the end of that long, exhausting day, Ava sat alone under the shade of a training tower, watching the sun sink behind the ridge as a group of younger recruits approach her nervously. Ma'am, can we train with you sometime? Ava blinked, surprised. Why? The youngest boy grinned shyly. Because you didn't just win. You were fair. For the first time since arriving, Ava allowed a smile. Small but genuine. Yeah, she said gently. I'll help. As the recruits walked away, one turned and called. And ma'am, someone said you train with a Navy SEAL. That true? Ava glanced toward the field where Logan Briggs stood with his arms crossed, pretending not to be paying attention. Yes, she said with quiet pride. It's true. In that day became the day everyone at Camp Ridgeway learned a lesson they would never forget. The quiet ones aren't weak. They're simply dangerous in silence. Before ending the script, Ava turned toward the camera, her voice steady, calm, and inviting. If you like this story and want more powerful justice-based narratives, subscribe to Grow for Justice and tell me in the comments where you watching.